Hello and welcome to another installment of The Lawyer Millionaire. I'm your host, Darren Wartz. How do you seamlessly step from the world of full-time parenting into entrepreneurship and building a successful law firm from the ground up? It sounds like a daring journey, doesn't it? Well, today we have the privilege of embarking on that journey today as we delve into the remarkable story of a law firm owner and entrepreneur who has shattered boundaries and transitioned from mom to mogul. I am thrilled to welcome Vanessa Vasquez to our show. Vanessa stands as a testament to dynamic women who juggle being a mom and an entrepreneur while molding a legal powerhouse. Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Darren. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you here today. As we were talking in the intro, I have seen the stuff you do, your website, I've looked into your firm. You've built a great business, a great practice, and I want to hear all about it. I know our audience wants to hear all about it. So let's start at the beginning and tell us about your journey from mom to mogul.
Thank you so much, Darren. So I've now been practicing for about 20 years. I got barred in '03, so it's been a minute now. And when I actually got married Thanksgiving before I graduated in December of '02, so family was always something that was sort of integral to me and integral to what I knew my future career was going to look like. It wasn't something where I sort of started and then realized like, oh wait, no, I don't want to do it this way. It was sort of an intentional journey where I knew that, that my husband and my future family were going to need to seamlessly connect
Yeah,
with together with my desire to lawyer. So my first few jobs were great. They were with smaller firms that, that there was a lot of flexibility and a lot of that kind of ability to juggle, work and life. But as I had my second son, and the boys are now 18 and 15, as I had my second one, I really realized that I wanted to devote, myself full time to that.
mm,
And although I thought it was going to be a very short sort of journey, just kind of like first few months, maybe 6 months to kind of like, really give it my all. That sort of transitioned into, well, here comes a year and then another year and then a third year. And I ended up staying home with them until they started K3 and K5. So about give or take 3 years.
okay.
So that was a really, really fun, stressful, overwhelming time. But it was wonderful, and I really appreciate that our family was able to do that for the kids. And once I'd been out for that long, I kind of didn't really feel like starting over and starting again with another firm. So I just kind of said, you know what? Let's see what we can do and let's see what we can make happen. So I
Yeah.
started going just one day a week to an office between the hours the boys were in school part-time. So they got in one at 8, one at 8:30, and then they got out one at 12, one at 12:30. So basically I was working between 9 and 11:30. But but it was a great transition year, and it kind of helped me to, gain that confidence that yes, I
Yeah.
can actually open a brand new family law firm, and I can definitely make this happen. So, here we are. It's going on 12 years already.
Yeah.
So, and we've built something with 25 people, and it's really been an amazing journey.
Yeah, that's so incredible. So you just went out on your own. I'm going to work part-time. And from that to now, tell us about your firm now and what were some of the initial steps that you took to really start building that?
Sure. So our firm now has 6 associates, I'm still sort of the managing partner. So I'm still in, making sure that I am assisting all of our attorneys with their strategy and all that, since I am the most experienced attorney. And we've got, a great team of support from scheduling assistant to filing assistant to receptionists that are making sure that our clients are being, sort of handled and managed the right way, to a great intake team, to a marketing team, to we really have run the gamut.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago, we were able to transition to bring in my husband, who's not an attorney. He's actually an engineer. And we were able to transition him out of corporate world and bring him in as our COO. So he sort of manages anything that's not related to legal.
Wow. Okay, listen up, audience. COO in legal. I love this, and I love that you're bringing in non-legal professionals to assist in some of those non-legal areas. I think that's really, really
Yes.
fantastic. Um,
Yes.
so you've done a lot here. Where did this business acumen come from? Because a lot of law firm owners struggle with this. They want to wear all, they wear all the hats and they're doing all the things. Um, was this innate for you, or did you learn this from somewhere?
It was definitely not innate. A lot of it is trial and error. You try something and if it doesn't work, you try something else. I am a for being an attorney, I am not a perfectionist who feels that I must know 100% exactly how this will work before I will try it. I'm
Mm,
very much open to let's see how it goes. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, then we'll try something else. I find that a lot of attorneys, unfortunately, kind of have that um, only I can do it. Only I can do it as well as it needs to be done. Only I can do it
yeah,
perfect. And I thankfully don't suffer from that.
that's
So
good.
I've been willing to delegate. I've been willing to try things. I've been willing to, to really sort of put myself out there in a way that a lot of attorneys don't. Otherwise, I mean, my background in college was in business, so a
Mm,
little bit of that, has been useful, but a
yeah.
lot of it has been asking questions and good coaching.
Hmm.
I've been involved with how to manage a small law firm, which is a national coaching and C-suite company
Hmm.
for going on 8 years already. And I love them. It's been able to teach me what I try to tell my clients, which is you don't know what you don't know. And they've been able to show me what I don't know so that I can then, work on getting up to speed on the knowledge that I want to have. So kind of that constant figuring out, talking to people who are doing it better
Yeah.
and sharing also what we've been able to do. I love talking to new firm owners, especially new family law firm owners and younger women firm owners that, I didn't have that network. I had a
Hmm.
lot of, professional friends that did what I did, but it's hard to ask those deep questions like, well, how are you marketing yourself? How are you getting out there? How are you
Yeah.
doing these things? So I love to be a support and have that provide that networking for other firm owners because the reality is that it's a close-knit community, the legal community, no matter how many attorneys we have.
Yeah.
And being able to, to contribute to that community, I feel is really important.
Yes. Yes. Very cool. So, you've mentioned some great things here. And I'm curious how you have grown as a business owner, like in terms of your perspective, in terms of how you think about things. What are some big lessons that you've learned along the way as you've scaled and grown your practice?
I find that the most important thing that I've discovered along this journey really is how important good people are and
Hmm.
how important it is to pour into your team. The sort of the driving factor that we try to remember all the time in our firm is that we are building a culture where people want to go to work, where people want
Yeah.
to be here. And I find that's really important, not only for law firms in general, since we hear so many bad things about lawyers and law firms, but if you're a happy lawyer, you're just going to be a better lawyer. And if the firm that you're at is meeting your needs, is meeting your is filling your cup, then you can then in turn turn around and do that as well for your clients, especially family law clients. that are this is such an emotional time.
Oh
It's
yeah.
rare where we have a client that's sort of like, yeah, I gotta get this done. Can you fill out some paperwork for me? This is it's not a dispassionate contract
Yeah.
negotiation. This is
Right.
a I birthed your baby and you're leaving me kind of thing. So it's really can be very emotional. And family lawyers also tend to be a big breed of lawyers that gets burnt out
Mm,
because when you're carrying that emotional load for for your clients, that becomes, really tough. So we've worked really hard to try to make sure that we are creating a place where people want to be,
mhm,
virtually and non. About half our team is virtual. We are constantly trying to to find those things that will make our staff happy. And sometimes it's little things. Our front desk receptionist will walk downstairs to Starbucks and pick up everybody's orders. And other times it's big things, like we actually hired a nanny to come into our office,
oh
and
wow.
she is a nanny for two associate babies, because I find, and I know, as an attorney for over 20 years, that when people have kids, that is a big time to step off the career,
Mhm,
especially women that, feel that they don't want to leave a 3-month-old with somebody else or in a daycare. So
yeah.
I wanted to facilitate that for our associates. So we brought in a nanny. We converted an office into a nursery. And now they don't have to worry about, their babies being in a daycare, being at home with a stranger. They're in the office. And, when they take a break during the day, they get to snuggle with their babies. Then they get to go back to work. And it's a lot less stressful. It's a lot less,
Mm,
difficult for them. And as an added bonus, I get to snuggle babies. I mean, it's a win-win-win.
yeah.
So, those kind of things it's spending money, but it's not a particularly expensive, endeavor, and it's making our associates better, more comfortable, happier, and that in turn means that they're able to serve our clients better. So
Yeah.
my biggest lesson is your people. You're only as good as your people.
Yeah, that is so cool. I love that idea. Um, and you're right. It's so often the non-financial things that employees really are looking for and are the difference makers. People will sometimes take a pay cut to go somewhere else if they're not happy. I mean,
Yep.
they will. So yeah, that is really a great idea. I love it. Very
Thank
cool.
you.
You've had great success. I'm sure that, however, the journey has had its bumps along the road. I'm curious, as you look back on this journey, what's been maybe the most difficult moment for you in the growth of your practice?
So I would say that probably, I'm very much a glass half full kind of person, which is interesting because my husband, who now runs all the things, is a glass half empty kind of person. So we
They
really
balance.
balance each
Yeah.
other out. So I tend to sort of have a very optimistic view on everything, and but I would say that probably the biggest struggle just comes back to people. When
Hmm.
you end up losing good people, whether because they don't want to do family law anymore, or for any other personal reasons, that's always a struggle, especially for smaller firms. I mean, at this point, if it's the reality is that if I lose an associate, you know what, there's five more to be able to help pick up the slack. But when you only have one associate or two, and you lose one, I mean, that means that your workload just went up by 50%.
Yeah.
So, and I think that that's also helped to be the catalyst for trying to make sure that we are, being better employers and better business owners, to make sure that, that we don't sort of feel that pinch of, oh my goodness, we have team members leaving, and now, we have to kind of figure out how to ramp up. So I would probably say that those tend to be the bigger challenges, the keeping good people and making sure that that you kind of are able to bounce back when you lose good people. Sometimes it takes a while to find that right fit.
Hmm.
And you always want to make sure that you're attracting the right fit, repelling the wrong fit. So, I think that people, again, is at the heart of everything we do, the good and the
Yeah.
bad.
Well, yeah, your business is your people and very much it's a collection of people that are working together for a common goal. I mean, that's the definition of a company. So
100%.
you're very, very correct there. Um, I'm curious in the growth of your practice, you know, a lot of law firm owners that I work with struggle with trying to get to a certain point. And, it's like if I could just grow a little bit more, I want to get to this point. But then the problem is that goalpost keeps moving a little bit further out and further
Right.
out. Was there a moment in your career where you're like, okay, I've made it, I've arrived here, or, how has that been for you?
So I would probably say that I'm kind of there now. And the only reason for that is because since January 1st, I've been telling everybody in conversations that I'm out of production. I'm out of production. And I'm not 100% out, but as I repeat it,
Yeah, yeah.
that will, I'm definitely not on any more trial calendars. I'm not on,
Okay.
any more extensive hearing calendars, and I am continuing to train my associates to make sure that they feel confident and comfortable,
Hmm.
stepping into that role. But that kind of feels a little bit more revolutionary, I think, to no longer and and the thing is that I was in court on a trial December 22nd, which, if you'll recall, was a Friday, right after having eye surgery. And
Oh
I remember
my.
thinking that Friday, like, no, this could not, no, this is not a seven-figure firm owner job. No, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
So, so ultimately I'm really working hard on, trial training my attorneys. We
yeah.
even had an all day, in-house training a few weeks ago where I'm basically just sort of trying to pour out, that knowledge, and a lot of things. It's just, how long I've been practicing or how long I've been an adult, not even, things that are specifically legal knowledge, like this is how you question and this is how you, that kind of training you can buy. You can sign up for, for trial advocacies and all that, but a lot of the smaller things that can help our attorneys sort of think, like people who've had kids even though they don't have kids, or that help them to think about corporate issues even though they've never worked corporate, or all those little things, and that's something that we are continuing to plan to do, those kind of trainings, to make sure
Hmm.
that I'm helping them to be, as good as I am.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Very
yeah, so
cool.
I would say that's probably now.
Yeah, great. And so you have kind of a new challenge here that's different. And how do you kind of replace yourself in your practice and move into more of that leadership position? Yeah.
Yep.
Is that kind of where you're aiming to go? And what does the future look like for you in as it relates to your practice and other things that you want to do?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of my favorite things that, about being a business owner is the networking. I am a
Mm.
people person. I do find my happiness in events and networking and lunches and coffees. And so that's something that, that I've definitely been growing. I'm the president of one of our local bar associations, the Coral Gables Bar Association.
Mm.
And so I've been, once I took on that role last summer, I've been also trying to make sure that I'm connecting with our members and asking them what can the Coral Gables Bar do for you? So that's something that, it sort of has been helping to create that transition where I could see myself out of production, and I can see myself just as, like you mentioned, providing leadership to my team, but also sort of becoming a more connected and a more connecting leader in our community as well.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Getting out there and meeting people and promoting your firm and your business. Absolutely. On this show, we deal with money. We're the Lawyer Millionaire. You mentioned having a COO. I'm curious, do you
Mhm.
have a CFO as well? And what are like do you have certain systems in place for managing the business financials that have been successful for you?
So, like I mentioned earlier, with how to manage, they have coaching and they have C-suite services. So we've been, using their C-suite services for a long time.
Mm.
Different positions as the needs of the firm changed, including previously a COO,
Ah.
previously a CEO, previously a CFO as well. So we've definitely, have that. They've helped us to develop
Mm.
our money management. We currently use a bookkeeping company that is an offshoot of how to manage called Bookkeeping That Doesn't Suck. And the great thing about, that company is that you get a 40-page financial report on all of the financials of the business, including, most bookkeepers kind of give you maybe like a profit and loss and a balance sheet and sort of like kind of like a very small overview of what you kind of need to know and what you think to ask them.
Mhm.
But the reports that we actually got from bookkeeping are great because they're showing us comparisons to month. They're showing us comparisons year to date. They're
Mm.
showing us comparisons to this month last year. We also, had previously worked with our CFO on our budget. And so now, we were able to complete our budget for this year. Bookkeeping loads our budget so we can, we get a budget variance report every month. So we're really able to stay on top of, those important numbers, like what are we spending on labor? What are we spending on marketing? What are we spending on, everything? And at the end, what's the profit? Because nobody wants to work a business with no profit.
Right, right. These are questions I'm sure you were not necessarily thinking about too much in the very beginning, but yeah, as things evolve, these are definitely larger things that need to be thought of. Yeah.
In the beginning, I was looking at, so when I first started, it was like, is there some money in the bank? Can I take some of that money out? I
Yeah.
think so. Then I like to say that, once I started working, with a CPA and all that, the standard recommendation is put yourself on payroll.
Hmm.
So then it was like, okay, well, I'm gonna sign up for payroll. And then it was like the thought of, and a very weird kind of thing that I really like, or on the other hand, dislike, is biweekly paychecks. I don't know who
Hmm.
invented that, but your bills don't come biweekly. Your
Yeah.
mortgage is due at a certain time and your
Yeah.
something else is doing it. Nothing comes biweekly.
No,
So my firm pays bi-monthly. We pay on the 1st and on the 15th
I
because
like
that's,
it.
like that way you can divide your stuff the first half of the month, the second half of the month.
Yeah.
So, so in the beginning, it was kind of like payroll is due on Friday. How do I make some money? I gotta make some calls. I gotta collect, I gotta issue some bills. So, we went from managing the business by simply looking at the bank balance
Hmm.
to managing the business, in other ways and making sure that we're looking at what's our cash flow, what's our,
Yeah.
our labor costs is substantial. So gotta make sure that there's money in the bank to pay, all of our team. So
Yeah.
it's definitely changed a lot the way that, that we run the company by making sure that we're looking at those finances, looking at that budget, looking at
Hmm.
what are we able to do? How did we hit our numbers? How did we not? Budgeting, saving for a rainy day,
Hmm.
making sure that
Hmm.
we've got access to credit. We actually have two
Yes.
lines of credit, which are currently empty. We haven't needed them,
Yep.
but you're always told, the wise have always told us, make sure that you get the credit when you don't need it, because
That's
when you
right.
need it, you can't get it.
Yep.
So we've made sure to take those steps to maintain liquidity and, and sort of be prepared for any rainy days.
Absolutely. Oh, this is great because these are all things I talk about so much with lots of law firm owners and struggle points often. Liquidity being a big one, a part of that. So many people I talk with are just running razor thin margins, don't have anything stashed away. And paying yourself, so critical. One of the
Yes.
big struggles I see among some law firm owners I speak with is that there's the difficulty separating the personal and the business. And as a result, there's money flowing back and forth, right? I'm taking money out of the firm because I have a big expense I need to pay personally, and then I'm putting money back into the firm because, oops, the firm's coffers are
Too
running a little
much.
bit too low.
Darren, as a family attorney, I've seen people put child support on their taxes as a business expense.
Oh my goodness.
Not a lawyer, but I have seen all manner of what you speak of.
Wow, they tried it. They tried it.
Hope they never get audited. I can tell you
Right.
that the judge that started that trial was not too happy with that company. And my poor client is like, I'm just a minority shareholder. I have no control over
Oh
what
yeah.
somebody else does. So yeah, but thankfully we were able to, to kind of like bring that case back from the dead after the judge was super upset about that. So
Wow.
yeah, so we
Wow.
we definitely see it, and it's so important to make sure that you have yourself on a regular cadence.
Hmm.
Nobody wants to live thinking, am I going to have enough money to pay my
Yeah.
bills this month? And then, we've used it as a catalyst to help us to think bigger, to think,
Hmm.
what do we want to be? What is
Right.
the house we want to live in? What's the car we want to drive? What's the school we want our kids to go to? What's the college we want to be able to pay for our kids?
Hmm.
My husband and I are both kids of immigrants. We both moved here in, elementary and middle school age.
Wow.
And so knowing and kind of like helping to, to create some of those bigger goals of
Hmm.
what, you always try to do better than your parents. So
Yeah.
that's also kind of helped to keep that momentum going of what's our next thing, what's our next step. So
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Good stuff. Well, Vanessa, as we think about others, you mentioned you have a passion for helping and talking to, younger lawyers. Quickly, would you share with us maybe some advice that you might pass on to younger law firm owners that are getting started and wanting to grow?
absolutely. The biggest piece of advice I can give any attorney, new or not new, is don't do it all.
Hmm.
You need to figure out what you are best at, whether that's networking, whether that's production, whether that's, whatever that might be. And then you need to hire, even if it's, even if you think you can afford it. It's, I did a talk many years ago when Avo used to do their lawyer-nomics.
Hmm.
And I did a talk where I talked about how every time I hired somebody, our income doubled.
Oh, wow.
And and small numbers, it's easy to double, but it's
Hmm.
but the lesson really carried because something that how to manage also helped me to see is if you are answering your phone, you're working for $15 an hour. If you
Yes.
are the firm's paralegal, you're working for $25 an hour. If
Hmm.
you are the firm's bookkeeper, you're working for $20 an hour. And all of those roles, can be outsourced even on very part-time basis. And it will allow you to do what you do best, which is be a lawyer and charge three, four, $500 an hour, rainmake and bring in cases that are worth five, 10, $20,000.
Hmm.
So, so you shouldn't spend your time doing the smaller tasks. And it's crazy to me how often I hear, oh no, but I can't. Like, trust me, in a pinch, if were in the hospital and you needed to step out for 2 weeks, you'd figure it out. You'd find somebody, you'd do it,
Yeah.
you'd get it done. And how much better is it to do it, onboard somebody, find the right person, bring them on. And with, we now have a global talent,
Yeah.
available at our
It's true.
fingertips that we didn't envision before COVID.
Hmm.
COVID was terrible, but there have been, especially for the legal field, I feel so many amazing things that have come out of there, from
Yeah.
being able to do 5-minute hearings from your office and not, spending an hour and a half in Miami traffic to get to court, to, doing mediations where clients are in other states by
Hmm.
Zoom,
Yeah.
to recruiting and finding and using amazing global bilingual talent that is able to help our firm really move forward. And, we I have to give a shout out to Get Staffed Up, who is the company owned by my good friend Brett Tremblay, who helped us to see
Mhm.
that future of, of global talent and being able to bring in team members that we now have people from Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, and El Salvador working at
Yeah,
our firm and helping our clients.
absolutely. Awesome, awesome. Well, Vanessa, it's all about the money, but it's not all about the money. There is a bigger purpose behind all the things that we do. So I'm curious about you and your bigger purpose. What is your millionaire mission?
So connected to our firm, we are looking to help 20,000 families in the
Mm.
next, that's kind of our 20-year goal. But, who knows if we grow big enough that might end up sort of, moving sooner. On a personal note, I'm looking to help my kids, fly the nest. I've got a sophomore and a senior, so they're close to starting.
Yeah.
When I moved out from home, that first year of college, and so I'm trying to make sure that I'm helping them to have that foundation that that I know that they'll need to be successful, going forward. I'm a Christian and I am constantly looking for ways to build God's kingdom, whether in our local church or internationally. We've contributed to quite a few different ministries all over the world, to see the gospel, shared.
Hmm.
And, lastly, I lost my little brother a few years ago, and we started a foundation called the
Hmm.
Supreme Scholars Foundation to honor his memory and give scholarships to deserving kids. So that's something that also helps to push us forward.
Yeah, yeah, very, very nice things. Great, inspiring goals. I love that you shared all those things. And I'm sure your kids will do fantastically well. They have a wonderful role model to learn from. Great, great. Well, Vanessa, we've come to the end of our time here. Would you please share with our audience where they can go to learn more about you or to get in touch with you if they'd like to?
Absolutely. If anybody wants to connect with me personally, my email address is vanessa@familylawprotection.com. Our website is familylawprotection.com. And there you can see videos, FAQs, all of our team, and schedule a free case evaluation if you need help with a local South Florida family law case. And you can always check us out on all the social media channels. I love educating, our potential and not potential clients about things that are going on in family law. And you can see those videos on our Facebook, where I live, because I'm a Facebook girl, as well as Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, where you found us. So
Very good. Well, that brings us to the end of another enriching episode of The Lawyer Millionaire. Vanessa, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your journey and your insights with us.
thanks for having me, Darren.
Yeah. And to our listeners, I'm sure Vanessa's story has left you with countless takeaways, fresh perspectives, and a renewed sense of possibilities that await you in both your professional and personal journeys. If you're ready to embrace your financial potential as a law firm owner, remember, I'm here to help. Whether it's dissecting complex financial concepts or crafting your own personalized financial roadmap, I'm just a call away. So book a call with me, your host, Darren Wirtz. The link is in the show notes. And together, let's bring clarity to your finances and help you navigate your path from profitable practice to personal wealth. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe to The Lawyer Millionaire. Also, if you could take a moment and leave us a review, it would make a world of difference and help us spread the word to reach more individuals who could benefit from these discussions. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time again on The Lawyer Millionaire.